I'm on the other side of a screen from you. We cannot touch physically, but your stories can touch me, you, and others yet to hear them. I'm in Torbay, 20 miles of curved coast collecting people from here, there, and everywhere. Stories blown in from the sea, driven in on one-way bus tickets. Stories walked in through woods and combes. We invite you on this journey to walk a while in another person's shoes, to feel the hidden treasure in their pockets and hear the dreams of their hearts. I'll ask them now to introduce themselves to you.
I'd see myself as I would say, a bubbly person and very outgoing. I can, I can be, I don't know, I can say I'm stubborn to a certain extent. I'm very, very, very big on my animals, and I'm always happy when I'm like near the sea, hearing the waves.
I want to be creative, and I have moments when I'm really creative. My moments where I'm outgoing. I like the mornings. I'm a morning person, okay, and I'm also a late night person. They don't ever really gel well together.
Yeah, I'm 55. I have two grown-up daughters. Yeah, I think I've always had like a sense of joy that comes up from my belly somewhere. I wake up in the morning with it, and I think that just keeps me really resilient. I feel like this lifetime's been full of trauma and loss.
If I had to say one word, it would be loner, because when I was on drugs, I didn't really care, but when I came off it, I couldn't do it in a group.
I like doing a lot of walking and do a lot of exercise every day. I walk all the way to Torquay from Paynton. I do press-ups and I do star jumps.
I would say I'm quite a joyful person. I'm a doer. I like being outdoors. I have knockbacks, but I always seem to bounce back somehow. I was the only girl in my whole family, and my nan, my nonna, as we called her, she was kind of the matriarch of the village.
So I've had five of my own children and fostered two girls. I'm quite a determined person, quite free-spirited, and I probably suppress a lot of things that go on in my life into other people's lives to help them more than helping myself.
I found an amazing gift that I have to use a rake and do a lot of sand art on the beach. From what I was to what I am now, I believe I've woken up in the last 10 years to real life rather than hiding with drugs. If people can get inspired by my story, it's no good hiding it, is it?
So, me and my friend, there was 5 or 6 of us girls, got on the bus in Nottingham, on the national coach, I think it was. It was £11 for a return ticket. And we got on the bus and ended up in Torquay because basically it had palm trees, and that's not even a joke. So that was it. And then we all got jobs, probably in the first week, live in as waitresses. I never meant to stay, just a summer job.
I'm Torquay born and bred. I could make friends, but I don't like people getting close to me. So I used to do a lot of fishing off Princess Pier 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. When everyone else turns up at 6, 7, 8, I'm off. I've done the misspent adulthood. Body's paying for it now. I joke a lot so people don't see me, the real me. Oh, he's happy, he's jolly, but it's just a deflection because inside I'm totally messed up. I cry myself to sleep. I suffer with PTSD now. I haven't got any friends at all.
I like the fact that we're not surrounded. Yeah, it doesn't feel trapped. There's the sea and there's nothing else there.
I take the opportunity to go down to the beach in a heartbeat, especially with like my dog. All the little coves, they've got different names and stories behind them, and it just amazes me. I enjoy swimming a lot in the sea with my family, and when I was on the beach last summer, I've got two younger brothers and they were swimming out by the rocks and they were playing with the baby seal. They're playing hide and seek with him, and it was so funny, and they would sense he would not hurt them. And it's just such a magical thing. Honestly, it's magical. And things like that, I think we take it for granted, really.
I love the palm trees. I love the beach. I love the sea.
I'd come down for weekends from Coventry to Torquay, I fell in love with the place, the amount of friendliness and the fact that it's a lot more laid back. I walked from Coventry and hitchhiking. It took me 2.5 days to get here, but it was in a wood, I think about 30 miles outside Torquay. I just gave up and I thought, I'll go back. And I saw a family of deer across the road and thought, okay, I'll go.
So I just feel like I get my love from animals more than humans. And I think there should be more opportunities for people to be with animals, because to help animals, it's good for their mental health. And obviously I live in supported living and we're not allowed to have animals, which, I mean, if you have a cat, it makes a hell of a difference when you live on your own. I think they're a very, very, very good source of antidepressant, because you've got this creature to cuddle and they can sense when you're sad. You don't even have to explain to them, they just comfort you. My idea would always be to have animals around me because they wouldn't hurt me.
I moved to Devon to leave a domestic violence relationship 30 years ago, literally an overnight removal truck. It was a very, very, very scary time, but it was a different fear to what I felt I'd been living in. And I just had a daughter who was 1.5. I feared for her safety. I would say it was the most rash decision, but the best decision I ever made. I left all my friends behind, which was really hard, and it was a really lonely time moving here with my daughter. I didn't know anyone. So I gravitated towards the church in Heel Village. I felt really happy when I became a born-again Christian, which I was. I'm not now. That was from that time. And it was really, really helped me. It helped me to realise a sense of community, to be really kind of held and supported by the members of the church.
I didn't have a bad childhood or anything like that. I was smoking pot when I was 11, heroin when I was like 16. If I was 10 minutes earlier to where I went to this place, or 10 minutes later, my path, my life would have gone in a totally different path because I wouldn't have taken heroin.
It's the community spirit. And to be fair, when I moved here, I was not in a very good place. I'd come out of prison, I was on tag, had a child with me in prison. I came out to a tagging house. So in the first 6 months of living here, it was hell. I didn't feel like I could go out, didn't have any confidence. I didn't know if I was going to relapse onto drugs. I didn't know if I was going to up and leave the moment my tag was lifted. Yeah, I was in a really bad place before prison. When I was controlled, I didn't have a life. I was in a very, very domestic abuse relationship. I'm grateful. I was really grateful for that time, and I spent 2 years in prison, and I got me back. Prison to me actually saved my life. I really do believe that if I hadn't gone, I'd probably be dead and my kids wouldn't have their mum alive right now. Once my tagging had come off, I was back to being homeless. And then I found life hard again. But that's when Julie and Sally came into my life, and then things just took a massive turnaround and I felt like I had a purpose. They really encouraged me to get involved in voluntary work, which I started cooking down at the local hostel.
I mean, first lockdown, I got kicked out of the start of it, and I was living at my best mate's throughout the whole thing. Moved back in last August or September. Me and my dad used to argue all the time. But since I've moved back, I've changed. We haven't had a single argument. Okay, so it sort of shows that I can do it. I just have to put my mind to it. If I give myself a frame, I can get things done. But if I don't, then I sometimes kind of coast. What's stopping me is motivation. Yeah, I've got motivation, but it's one of the easiest things to just say, I'll do it another time.
I went off the tracks quite a few times, and I was taken in quite a while back by the night shelter here, because that was the only place that I felt had help at the time. And they got me into a place, and I went from homelessness to a flat with nothing when they put out a shout for furnishing people, and they rallied round to pay the money up front. and I'm still trying to give away the things that people gave me 3 years ago to move in. So that just shows what people can be and do together.
So when my partner died and I lost my house, it got repossessed, so I was homeless. It was a 5-bedroom house. Everything got taken away and I was put in a place for drying out, and I wasn't even a drinker. My daughter went into foster care because she couldn't cope with coming into this. There was all alcoholics in there. So she chose the foster family to go and stay with, because when I worked for social services, my manager said, we can't have this young girl, this vulnerable young girl in this place. So he was fantastic. And then my manager took me to the housing office and said, you've got to house this woman. Through no fault of her own, she's now in this position. Like, this cannot carry on. So I was given this house in Brixham, which was like everything was just given back to me. I'd lost everything. And I looked at it. I kind of put my hands on the wall just to claim the house and said, this is our new beginning. This is our new home. And it's been really lovely living in Brixham. There's a really nice sense of community there.
I'm happy because I'm in a house, I've got a roof over my head, I've got the choice of what I want to do.
So I did. I cooked in the hostel 3 times a week, and it was for not just the residents of the hostel, but it was for like any street homeless person could come in, just because I know what it's like to be homeless. So I just want them to see that they're a human being in their own right, that actually they don't have to continue with this life, that there's life after, just by having some validation, they can move forward. There's hope. They just need to hold on to hope.
I try and inspire other people, and that's what I try and do with my music. Yeah, but then obviously you have to also take the time for yourself to keep your health there. And college helps a lot. Any teacher, any tutor can say, send me a track and give you criticism, and there'll be honesty. That'll be true, though. Honesty. They'll be brutally honest. Yeah, and so that helps a lot. Just try things. It's all trial and error. Just got to keep trying.
2006, December the 6th, 5 to 8 in the morning. I just thought, what the hell am I doing with my life? And when I came off it, it wasn't a pretty sight. Yeah, I had to lock myself away for 3 weeks. The only part of my body which didn't hurt was that part of my thumb, because that was numb. Everything else was screaming. Yeah, I was doing it hour by hour. I didn't go to the doctors. Like my brother, my family, they know absolutely nothing about my past. They knew I was an alcoholic. Oh Christ, he's pissed again. I wasn't though. I was high as a kite on heroin, cocaine, LSD. I was taking anything I could get high on. My brother absolutely hates drug addicts, but he doesn't know I was one for 23 years. Yeah, I was dying. I was walking around with more chemicals than ICI in my body.
Because I didn't know that he was not a property developer, he was a drug dealer. Nothing really nasty, just ecstasy, marijuana. I was so naive. And then I got pregnant and I was 26, 25. And then at exactly the same time as I got pregnant, he developed schizophrenia. And what happened then was, he basically tried to kill me. So that was over a period of years. There's so many incidences, there's too many. Well, he's now in Langdon Hospital for the mentally ill, indefinitely. So it was, absolutely traumatic. But yeah, reflecting back now, I buried it. I just worked a 60-hour week, basically, ran a home and raised 2 boys as a single parent. I've been having EMDR therapy to finally get rid of it.
Stab me, shoot me, knife me, do anything, but don't touch my drink or drugs. Believe me, over the years, I've done and seen things, but I got out of all that, and it's a real horrible life. I was drug dealing to support my own habit, and the things you do and the people you meet, you don't want to know. When I got out of drug dealing, I had the biggest kicking ever. Everything from fractured skull, walking about with my back screwed up, fingers broke, didn't go to hospital, because they say, how did that happen? There are still people in Torquay who would like to see me dead. I don't care, I'm out of it.
I do a lot of baking. I've got a sweet tooth. I like healthy bars. A couple of weeks ago, I passed my reading and writing course again. That went really well. Now I know what we're having for dinner or which staff we're on. I try really hard.
I try to avoid the word religion, but once I experienced a healing which I didn't understand and I didn't believe, but I walked to the beach. That was in Great Yarmouth, and I broke down and I vowed that I'd walk in my faith for the next 10 years. And I said, if you make me a great artist, because I couldn't even draw, and I said, on a scale that's going to make people think, then I will. I'm able to attract people to the beach, and they always ask, why do you do it? I'll share my story with people on the beach. And I get a lot of people say, I was going to commit suicide, or I've been thinking about it, and I've come past you working, and it's lifted me so much. It's brought me to tears on a few occasions.
Yeah, I like the seafront. Yeah. Oh, when the sun comes out, when it's a nice day. Yeah, I look at the boats and the ships.
Yeah, talking about rough seas, I've often described it like my head is dancing with a devil in the deep blue sea. Just have your head above water, then something's always trying to pull you down.
Oh, so I missed a bit. So my children are mixed race, and when they were 10, when my eldest daughter was 10, my neighbours were quite happy to say one day, we're National Front. And they were really disgusting about my children. And they beat me up really badly on my front door, and my eldest daughter saw all of it. So her behaviour came very strange after. She was pulling out the hair out the back of her head, she had a knife under her pillow, she lived out of bin liners, because she'd seen me, who was her world, like, have my power taken away. The police were amazing, like, absolutely. We had a police officer coming around every day, but it's too... Well, my eldest daughter had been really affected by that. So she had to go to a special unit because she had high anxiety and she just had these complete meltdowns. And as an adult now, she's been diagnosed with bipolar, post-traumatic stress syndrome. So it's been tricky with her.
I think very differently to people. I didn't really have my childhood growing up because of past experience when I was a child. So I've always had my childlike mind, not in a sense that I misbehaved. No, my imagination was put on pause. Well, I did GCSEs and I picked childcare and healthcare and social care. And in childcare, obviously, you have to do like different activities that you're planning for children and stuff. And I thought of adding sensory play to our poster. I'm very creative with things. I'll do my makeup, but they're not like standard makeup. It's like a creativity kind of makeup, like stage makeup. That's something I want to look into. I think a lot of people say find work that you enjoy, and I enjoy doing makeup. So I think I need to stop saying it's just a hobby. It's really like I think I should really use my creativity and a passion of work instead of thinking I have to save the children of the world. I've always thought I have to work with children because I don't want what happened to me to happen to other children. Obviously, money is a bit difficult to give me that opportunity because I'm on universal credit whilst living in the foyer. Plus, I'm off on a sick note waiting to hear back my mental health.
The thing that helps me is female friendship, sisterhood, and therapy. I worked for Working Links and they paid for lots of therapy over the years. They had money for a counsellor.
I distance myself from a lot of people. Yeah, because I was getting into trouble and I'm not the kind of kid to fight back. I mean, I'm 6'4", and I'd probably defend myself if I had to. But say there are 20 teenagers who didn't agree with me in Paint Town and I walk in just to go to the shop, as they all know me. Yeah, there may be something against me.
Torbay is a small village. Everyone knows everyone, but at the same time, there's like, especially as a young person, there's a lot of rivalries and there's a lot of like crimes of young people and stuff like that. Okay, if we had more social events, more activities for people our age, something for like 16 to 25, I think keeping the young people busy is like an idea, and younger children aren't so much hanging around in gangs. People get hurt because there's gangs, and obviously it's very much like a pack of wolves. They show up and then everyone gets involved. As you're growing up and going into town, I would feel very much unsafe that I'm going into town to meet my friends, but I have to walk past all these people on the streets. Quite scary looking, really.
So yeah, I've always been very community minded, like my nan was in our village. So like I used to work on the deprived wards of Torbay and run like crazy projects like guerrilla gardening, you know, drumming or planting flowers. I was given a lot of freedom. So in 2016, I kind of had a moment and I thought, I'm going to start a women's circle. And first of all, it was a little bit scary, but it felt like something within me needed to support the women out there that struggle with domestic abuse. And I knew that a lot of them bury the pain with alcohol and drugs. And then that leads to getting involved with the criminal justice system, to jail, to homelessness, which leads to the whole breakdown. You know, if mum breaks down, it all breaks down.
And I felt like people were starting to accept me for who I was and not for a past that they didn't really understand. People were looking at me and calling me Georgie and actually getting to know who I was. You know, when you get a criminal record, people just, they're not, you know, I felt like I was getting judged a lot. A lot of my family didn't talk to me. They totally wrote me off when I was in prison. But I wasn't able to explain to them what was the circumstances leading to my prison sentence. But slowly, I've been able to speak to family. I've got family back in my life. I hid the abuse and hid my whole life, really.
To move on in life, like to move on to my own place.
I class myself as a former drug addict. You're more self-conscious, you're more self-critical. You take criticism in and it stays. It's that old saying, isn't it? If you ain't going to help yourself, don't expect anyone else to help you. But if they're not willing to accept the help, what's the point? Look for help. Just don't take the first help which is offered to you. See if there's other things, because doing that one path, that one way of help might totally screw you up, make you worse, or it might just be the thing you're looking for. Take, if you want to buy a house, you're not going to buy the first thing you look at. So why take the first help that's offered to you, if that makes sense? See what's on offer. You might be a drug addict, but you might need more help than just being a drug addict. You might have physical injuries or mental health.
I mean, Julie and Sally, they got me involved in Shekinah. I was still on license, but they fought my corner and I managed to get an apprenticeship here. And then from that, I became a trainer. And then from that, I'm now working with Housing First. But I've progressed in such a short time. Yeah, it's been really positive, really positive.
Yeah, I've made a lot of friends.
I don't dream for my future, I dream for everybody else's. I hope that I can inspire people to give it that extra yard.
My other dream is like to work in a hotel one day, helping make beds and drinks. I help out a centerpiece. I do the till, but I'm not on the till at the minute because I'm struggling with the till. I'm doing the food prepping, waiting as well because I want to be a waiter one day. I know it's hard to get a job because at the moment, because of what's going on.
I held my first women's circle in October 2017 with Georgie. It's like a little bit of magic, really. Just seeing everybody starting to flourish and flower. They're standing in their power, and it makes me quite emotional thinking about it.
I've got this place, centerpiece. If I hadn't found this place and the people here, like Jane, and you've met Sarah, there used to also be a lady working here called Angela. So if it wasn't for them three, I hadn't been here before I became a volunteer here, but they made me welcome. It's given me a purpose. I'd do anything for this place because I'm paying back a debt that I can't repay. I could win £1 million. I could just give it here, but it'd never be enough because they've given me my life. The biggest thing is I can say is that I don't want to be happy. What is happy? Having millions in the bank, having this, having that. To me, that's not happy. I'm always happier when I'm at Centerpiece because of the people, you know. Not just the people I work with, but the people that come through the door as well. I keep on getting told off for swearing, and at times, well, most of the time, if I'm too honest, I just want to be happier than I am now. Maybe just that little smidge, like now, a smile.
It's just been a godsend, the women's circle, because it's like now I'm not alone. We really do care for each other. We do love, you know, when someone's progressing and doing well, everyone's just so happy for those women. We're such a supportive group, and yeah, it's been brilliant, and it will continue being a massive part of my life.
My worst, I'd say, downfall, like most men, is my pride. If I'd stuck with my pride, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have accepted help for a flat. I wouldn't have accepted help with lots of things, everything, because help is out there. I've always said, if it wasn't for my artwork, I wouldn't be here. So the message I'd say to everyone is, don't let pride stand in your way. It's my pride has cost me 20 years of my life. So, you know, I'm alive now.
So a few years ago, I was led to go to a thing called the Cauldron event. I was going to drive my car to Wales and put up my tent on my own, which was like massive. And then I just saw these unapologetic, powerful women. And I thought, there's me always apologising for myself. Oh, I'm sorry this, I'm sorry that, just sort of continuously. And they're standing there like warrior women.
What helps me is always having a vision of where I want to be in 5 years. Yeah, I've got this rough idea in my head, like I want to get my own house built and have a family. Yeah, whenever I think of that, I'm like, I'm not going to make it if I'm just sat in bed watching YouTube. The amount of raps I've written over the years, I wanted to make a song that would go on my Spotify playlist that I just put on repeat in the morning or something. Yeah, like, yes, because it's got an inspirational message getting across and it's just a really good song. I never want to be famous to the point where I can't walk out of my house. Okay, like Justin Bieber famous. I just want a stable income, making good enough money to where I can treat the people that I love and treat myself. I haven't got a vision of it exactly where I want to live, but I want to live somewhere with a nice view. Yeah, but just these little visions of everything I've got in my head for the future, keeping me going.
I'd give a massive building that could cope with everybody's needs that needed it. I would fill that building with hope.
I'd like a holiday place on the seafront. Yeah, like Butlins at Minehead, the theatres, the music, live music, stuff for the kids.
I would love Torbay to have a centre where it was used every day of the week, where women can come together that are facing their challenges. They can learn new skills and get involved in the community, you know, give them a purpose. If they had children young and they're thinking, well, but I've only had a child, so in my life, you know, this is what I'm always going to do, you know, but they might have dreams and goals that they feel they can't achieve. I'd love for us to be able to just say, actually, you can achieve these goals and be able to start helping them create their futures. Yeah, a safe place for women to gather.
Not big, not fancy, like a hub. A lot of women in Torquay have had to turn to prostitution since lockdown. I mean, I know girls that are given, you know, I don't like to say it, 20 quid for a thingy to men so they can put food on the table. Prostitution's going through the roof. So less children in care, in foster care, less children seeing mum take drugs, less children seeing mum getting beaten up, less children seeing mum drinking alcohol. Then generationally, in 10 years, there'll be a better bunch of kids around. Holistic support, a one-stop shop for women. Yeah, I can see where it would be, right at the top of town.
My ideal place is a place where they can get help and move on. If someone's got to walk in there with whatever problem yet, they can get help. Torquay's got more than enough housing, but the trouble is there's too many little groups doing their own thing.
Trust. So, If they trust you, they know you're authentic and real, you got them. And they know that I believe in them, and so they believe in themselves. These are the toughest women in Torbay. If these women didn't trust me, they wouldn't be there, believe me. If anything leaves the circle, or if circle's got a little crack in it, they know I wouldn't have it. So the one word is trust.
If I was anywhere else apart from here, centerpiece, I wouldn't have opened up to you. It's only this place means so much to me, and the people here as well.
So I would like to hope that people aren't so judgmental, because I see a lot of judgment with the job that I do. And I'd like people to have more of a voice and be able to stick up for themselves and actually doing what they want to do and not just what they've been told. You know, I don't like control. I think there's too many services that always put on to people, this is how your life should be. And actually, I'm lucky that I work for a charity that is client led, and then they're more likely to be able to make the right choices.
My head's above water at the moment, and it's staying there.
And just a place where I would like to grow up, grow old, and bring my kids, because at the moment I fear walking in the streets on my own, knowing full well that there's people who are obviously on the street taking drugs.
So I seen this quote the other day, and it was, if a man's got £86,400 and if he loses £10, yeah, it's not going to be majorly fussed. Obviously, you don't want to lose anything, but he could sort of just brush it off all the same. There's also 86,400 seconds in a day. Don't let 10 seconds of that decide your day. If you get angry for 10 seconds, just brush it off your shoulder and say, I'll come back to this later, or something.
I don't know what it is. It's just very soothing, isn't it? Lights. It's very reassuring when you're out in the dark. I do remember when like we were allowed the fair, and that was pretty seeing the lights from a distance. Some of them are broken. That used to be a thing, to go down and see the colourful lights in general and the boats.
You give them a good mindset, they can put that towards something they actually want to do. I think the most important thing in life is your mindset.
I've hit rock bottom so many times, but I've always managed to come up. So you just got to remember those times that actually you can't go any lower down. There's always going to be something that will happen, and you meet the right people and at the right time and the right place, and you can get on with something else tomorrow. I'm not scared of trying anything new. I'm not scared of change, and I was one of those people, and now I just actually embrace it, because if it doesn't work, then try something else.
You have to find your own path. Whose life is a bed of roses? Nobody's.
There's something precious that comes out of trauma. I see it kind of like a jewel, and I can honestly say that I wouldn't change anything. It makes me who I am today.
I think just a lot more love needs to be shown around, a lot more. And yeah, better lights, more pretty lights, definitely.
If Mum's okay, then I feel the kids are probably going to be okay.
If your life is bad for whatever reason and you make the first steps, it's not easy and you'll never walk a straight line. Life's not like that.
Might go for a walk. It's a nice day.
You've seen us and we've seen you. We are the child in the park, the man on the seafront, the young person on the bus, the woman in the street. We are the lights on Paynton Pier, the red rocks of Corbin Head, the trawlers at Brixham. Our stories are woven into the fabric of this place. This is our place.